Hello! We're going to read Wolf Island by Celia Goodkin. Once there was an island. It was an island with trees and meadows and many kinds of animals. There were mice, rabbits, deer, squirrels, foxes, and many birds. All the animals on the island depended on plants and other animals for their food. Some animals ate grasses, other plants, some ate insects, others ate other animals. The island animals were healthy. There was plenty of food for all of them. A family of wolves lived on the island. There's the wolves. A male wolf, a female wolf, here they are, and their 5 cubs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There they are again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cubs. One day, the wolf cubs were playing on the beach while their mother and father slept. The cubs found a strange object at the edge of the water. It was a log raft nailed together with boards. The cubs had never seen anything like this before. They were very curious. They climbed onto it and sniffed about. Everything smelled different. While the cubs were poking around, the raft began to slowly drift out onto the lake. At first, the cubs didn't notice anything was wrong. Then, suddenly, there was nothing but water all around them. The cubs were scared. They howled. "Ow!" The mother and the father wolf heard the howling and came running down to the water's edge. They couldn't turn the raft back. The cubs were too scared to swim, so the adult wolf swam out to the raft and climbed aboard. The raft drifted slowly and steadily over to the mainland. Finally, it came to a rest on the shore, and the wolf family scrambled onto dry land. There were no longer any wolves on the island. All the wolves were over here. Time passed. Spring grew into summer on the island, and summer into fall. The leaves turned red, geese flew south, and squirrels stored up nuts for the winter. There's all the geese. Winter was mild that year, with very little snow. The green plants were buried under a thin white layer. Deer dug through the snow to find food. They had enough to eat. Next spring, there were many fawn deers born. There's a fawn, there's a fawn, there's a fawn, there's another fawn. There are 2 more. And one right here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 fawn in this picture. There were now many deer on the island. They were eating large amounts of grass and leaves. The wolf family had kept the deer population down because wolves eat deer for food. Without wolves to hunt the deer, there were now too many deer on the island for the amount of food available. Look, the island is getting less green. The deer are eating all the green things on the island. Spring grew into summer and summer into fall. More and more deer ate more and more grass and more leaves. Rabbits had less to eat because the deer were eating all of their food, so there were not many baby bunnies born that year. There's a rabbit, and there's its babies. But there's only 2 of them. Usually there's more. Foxes had less to eat because there were fewer rabbits for them to eat. Mice had less to eat because the deer had eaten all the grass and grass seeds. There were not many baby mice born that year. There's a mouse and 2 baby mice. Owls had less to eat because there were fewer mice for them to hunt. Many animals on the island were hungry. The first snow fell. Squirrels curled up in their holes, wrapping their tails around them for warmth, and went to sleep. The squirrels were lucky. They had collected a store of nuts for the winter. Other animals did not have winter stores. They had to find food in the snow. Winter was a hard time for animals, but this winter was harder than most. The snow was deep, and the weather was cold. Most of the plants had already been eaten during the summer and fall. Those few that remained were hard to find, buried underneath the snow. Look how little green there is on the island. It's more snow and very little green. compared to before. Rabbits were hungry. Foxes were hungry. Mice were hungry. Owls were hungry. Even the deer were getting hungry. The whole island was hungry. The owls flew to the mainland, looking for mice. They flew over the wolf family, walking along the mainland shore. The wolves were thin and hungry too. They had not found a home because there were other wolf families on the mainland. The other wolf families didn't want to share their food with them. Snow fell for many weeks. The drifts became deeper and deeper. It was harder and harder for the animals to find food. Animals grew weaker and some began to die. The deer were so hungry they started gnawing at the bark of the trees. See, he's eating the trees. The trees began to die. Snow covered the island. The weather grew colder and colder. Ice began to form in the water around the island and along the mainland coast. It grew thicker and thicker, spreading farther and farther out into the open water. One day there was ice all the way from the mainland to the island. The wolf family crossed the ice and returned to their old home. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 wolves returning home. All the baby cubs have grown up. The wolves were hungry when they reached the island, and there were many weak and sick deer for them to eat. The wolves left the healthy deer alone. Finally, spring came. The snow melted, the grass and leaves began to grow. The wolves remained in their island home, hunting deer. No longer would there be too many deer on the island. Grass and trees would grow again. Rabbits would find enough food. The mice would find enough food. There would be enough food for the foxes and owls, and there would be food for the deer. The island would have food enough for all. Life on the island was back in balance. The end.